time it wasn't busy on the farm. And even then, my mom's brother-in-law, my dad's brother said, you know, we need you back here. Because there's always work to do. People aren't hard. I spoke with someone via text yesterday that said, I can't make it afterwards. We just plan massages aren't hard. And so, and like Helen said, there are also people who don't have access to email. They don't know. They don't know. I mean, back in April, I was told that our property might be considered, and it didn't happen. There wasn't a mod or a rod yet, and I found out the same night that our well went dry, our domestic well went dry for over 50 years. And we were never notified, so our family attorney did send a letter dated April 25th to Mr. Rogers asking that for future, please notify my client. Now, I spoke to my attorney yesterday just to make sure that nothing had been sent, or something had been sent. Nothing had been sent. None of my neighbors, no one received any sort of notice. And I know we already went over that prior. And I know everyone handles their business differently. I think you guys are very respectable and very kind, and it's easy to speak with. The agency that we're dealing with, on the other hand, has, or certain people affiliated with them, have been very rogue in their actions. And we got this is postmarked on the 7th, the site survey request. This was postmarked on the 27th, the appraisal request. On June 5 and 6, June 5 or 6, it was a Thursday or Friday, the following week, appraisers go to the property that we lease and ask them and tell them, you know, we need to find out who leases our property because, well, we took pictures from the road, but we don't. And I know I've discussed this here before, but we need to find out what's on there so we can do our appraisal properly. And the day that, even though it was the 29th of June for the rod, the news came down on the 27th, which was a Friday. And that very day, our leases have received a call from the appraiser and said, you know what, you guys need to deal with us. It's not going to be worth as much if you don't deal with us now. So, I mean, these are rogue. This is very rogue, the way they've been acting. And you know, and there are people in the pathway still who do not know that they're in the pathway. They don't know. We have family friend in Los Angeles. The city has a neighbor who has health issues, and there's a homeowner who does not have. I don't know if their APN number is on here, but there's a homeowner who just found out that they're in the pathway. This man wasn't able to make it today. He found out after the decision on May 7th in Fresno to go ahead and go forth with this section. He found out after the fact when he got the letter, probably postmarked the same day I did, for site survey requests. I mean, this is something, it doesn't make sense. I'm not against progress, and I told you guys this before, I love trains, but I want this project done right, and the way it's being done is wrong. And people need to be respected. I mean, some of the people that you are impacting provide food and clothing for all of us. And you also have people who are homeless there. There are homeless shelters that are impacted. There's churches and schools and homeowners. There's a gentleman that's not here today with his wife. He retired. He's retired, he has a shop, he restores old cars. Now he also has anxiety because this whole situation is making him sick. I can't say in the very beginning it didn't make me sick. I know if I let myself get ill, I can't fight. I have to be able to fight. And I'm fighting for what's right. I want this project done properly, and the way it's been handled thus far has not been done properly. I don't consider your board a rogue board. You're taking the time to listen to all of us, and I want us to be able to have the time and have others be able to be here and be able to speak and have that opportunity to speak. We are right side of the 14th Amendment, and we do live in America. We do have the Constitution, we do have rules in the state of California. I know Governor Brown wants this train. I want him to have this train too, but it has to be done properly. And so far it has not been done properly. So, but these dates, and again, there was a letter that I did bring up at the last meeting that you both were CC'd on, that was dated June 16, that was directed to Mr. Morales, and members of the board, members of the people who are involved with the role, Mr. Briggy. And after that was when our leasing received a call from the authority saying, well, you don't deal with us. The person that was affiliated with the authority. But I mean, I've worked in corporations, and when you work with a corporation, you represent that corporation. Your actions, what you do, if you cover something, anything you do, you represent them. So anything that they do that's not by the book or not done properly or rogue, that represents the agency. That represents the agency. You know, it's the same birds of a feather flock together. I mean, and so people are doing things a certain way. It doesn't look good for everybody. It's not. But the main thing is, I'm here for the people today who can't speak, who might be afraid to speak, who might be too sick, stressed to speak. I'm here today to ask you to please wait on this decision and let people be given proper notice to be able to let you know what's going on with their properties and with their lives. And I thank you for your time. welcome. And on action two, I want to know if the people were notified properly. Are they here today? I noticed one of them, they aren't going to be deciding today on Sunday. So
When it gets to the item, I will call for property owners. I can assure you that when it gets to the stage of a resolution of necessity, an attempt has been made to contact the property owner. There are times when the property owner cannot be found. There's a process to follow if that's also the case, but we will ask for comment from the property owner when that item is taken up.
thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
And as I sat there, I heard you gave answers to questions that I was going to ask, so I'm kind of reformulating something. And not having had time to do it properly, if what I say comes across, I don't mean it to be insolent or degrading at all. It gets my message across, and that's how I'm going to have to do it. I wondered, when I look at the title, State Public, remember, you guys should be on my side, not necessarily on my side, but I do view as being in the line of this approval process. That this huge monolith on the state of California with an eagle at the top, who set up a transportation item called the High-Speed Rail Authority, which has another eagle at the top of it. And it comes down the line, and I see me sitting there with all this massive whatever coming toward me, and I view the Public Works Board as being the stop in there to make sure that things are done properly. I have a problem with understanding if it's being done properly or not when I hear, well, let me ask this. Have you or any member of your staff, do you have any knowledge of any of the pieces of property that are listed?
How do you mean knowledge?
Okay, there's a piece of property here. Does it have any special items? Does it have, do you know anything at all about any of the properties that are being taken? Some properties have a stream going through them. Some properties have limited access. Some properties have an elderly person there who has special health requirements. There are special power lines coming into their place because of that health issue. Do you have any? Do you know anything about the property that you're dealing with?
Never visited any of them.
And well, I figured. And now we get to the thing I apologize for up front. I'm trying to find out if you actually provide some some useful function in this process, or it's strictly a rubber stamp. I mean, what happens if you don't approve this today? What happens?
If this action were not approved, then just compensation would not be set, and we would not be authorizing any negotiation with the actual property owners. So I think what's going to continue to be difficult in our role versus the High-Speed Rail Authority's role is that we are not choosing the properties that we have not chosen in the past. That is being taken care of under a different authority. The public meetings, the notices, the public comment periods, all of that kind of engagement with the public on the high-speed rail itself is not happening at the Public Works Board. We are reviewing discrete pieces of the process as they are necessary, as part of the general statutory authority for acquisition of property by the state or an eminent domain action. So we're taking action on discrete things along the process. Bigger picture, we on this board are not making some of those decisions that kind of lead to where we are. Those are being made somewhere else. And so that is going to, I think, continue to be difficult as you and other concerned folks come to the Public Works Board. We are happy to hear your comments about the specific action we're taking today, but I think you have to always keep in mind that some of the things that set this in motion have been handled, publicly noticed, discussed. Lots of those actions have been taken outside of the Public Works Board authority.
taking place regarding any given site between an individual or property owner and the rail authority is function of the rail authority. But you, and I think you're aware, but I'm just saying it anyway. As a person sitting on this side of the fence and thinking, oh, well, these guys can stop it if they want. And by the way, if you didn't approve it today, they'd probably come back and say to do it again. Right? I mean,
I would expect, yes, they would ask us to consider it.
I mean, you know, or, but you can understand that a person sitting on this side is looking for a continuation of action. And when you describe it, the high-speed rail authority is not forthcoming with information. So if you describe it as a perfect world, and it's definitely not perfect for them. They do not. You have to pry, kick, drag, scream, push to get any information out of them, and then you are not sure if it's correct or not. We have been lied to, we have been told falsehoods, the list goes on. So we don't, but we don't get information from them. So somebody, whether it's your responsibility or their responsibility, or I don't know whose responsibility it is, but somebody should have, at least as a common courtesy, informed 158 persons that your property is under consideration. There will be a hearing on such and such a date to approve your property to enter into the process of eminent domain or acquisition. So that's about all I want to say. I'd ask you, be an interesting experiment, if nothing else. Go ahead, don't approve it today. Let's see what happens. We could use the extra time. 155 other people could use the time to find out about it. Thank you very much.
Is there any other public comment on item number 1? All in favor of action item number 1? Aye. Aye. Action item
Action item number 2, approve the requested action to approve the adoption of 4 resolutions of necessity authorizing the use of eminent domain to acquire 4 properties totaling approximately 19.2 acres of Fresno and Madera counties. We note this action does not include the Sunmade Furniture Company property, which is property number 3 is identified in the agenda. That property can be sold from this agenda pending verification of address. The remaining 4 parcels are within the right-of-way of the initial operating segment, Section 1 of the high-speed rail project, and were previously site selected by the board. Acquisition of these properties will allow the high-speed rail authority to move forward with construction of the high-speed train system. Negotiations to acquire the properties have been unsuccessful to date, thereby precipitating the need to adopt a resolution of necessity to authorize the use of eminent domain. On July 28, 2014, notices of intent to adopt the resolution of necessity were mailed to the respective property owners. The notices were sent in accordance with Code of Civil Procedure Section 1245.235. The first property, the Valero property, which includes an active gas station, is located at 4510 West Shaw Avenue in Fresno County. The requested action will result in the acquisition of a 0.1 acre parcel of a temporary construction easement that is needed for roadway improvements associated with the Shaw Avenue grade separation in the city of Fresno. Second property, the Patel property, which includes a motel, is located at 1407 North Motel Drive in Fresno County. The requested action will result in the acquisition of 0.2 acres in fee and 0.04 acres as a temporary construction easement. This parcel is needed for roadway improvements associated with the Golden State Boulevard realignment and for the high-speed rail track bed between Northwest Avenue and West Olive Avenue in the city of Fresno. The Peters property, which includes vacant land with 9 paved parking spaces, is located at the northeast corner of Belmont Avenue and Harrison Avenue in Fresno County. The requested action will result in the acquisition of 0.33 acres in fee, and the parcel is necessary for roadway improvements
associated with the Belmont overcrossing near the northeast corner of Belmont Avenue and North Harrison Avenue in the city of Fresno. Finally, the Pacific Orchards property, which includes an almond orchard, is located at 33499 Avenue 7 in Madera County. The requested action will result in the acquisition of 18.49 acres in fee, of which 16.1 acres are for project requirements and 2.39 acres are uneconomic remnants. The parcels are needed for the Avenue 7 grade separation and the high-speed rail alignment between Avenue 7 and the north-south portion of Road 33. Staff provided you and your members briefing packages of resolutions of necessity and maps for the properties to be condemned. Harjinder Chima, who is acting as counsel to the board on these matters, will present the resolutions of necessity.
Good morning. Ms. Elizabeth has explained the necessity to acquire the parcels that are identified in action item 2. It's become necessary to commence eminent domain proceedings to acquire each of the properties that are in your resolution of necessity packages, to acquire the property and to resolve the issues of just compensation because negotiations have reached an impasse. In order to initiate eminent domain proceedings, this board must adopt a resolution of necessity for each of the parcels. Each of the resolutions of necessities that have been provided for you today comply with all of the eminent domain law and meet the requirements of California Code of Civil Procedure 1245.230. Each of them state the public use for which the property is to be acquired, and they reference the statutes that are authorizing the board to acquire the property for eminent domain. Specifically, these properties will be used for the high-speed rail train system, and the authority to acquire them comes from Government Code Section 15850 and the eminent domain law. The resolutions of necessity describe each of the properties in detail with a legal description and provide their location with the attached map. The resolutions also declare that the board has found that the public interest and necessity require the project, that the project is located where it will provide the greatest public good with the least private injury, that each of the properties is necessary for the project. Specifically, as Ms. Nicodemus explained, the Valero property requires the acquisition of 0.10 acres as a temporary construction easement that would be used for roadway improvement associated with the Shaw Avenue grade separation in the city of Fresno. The Patel property requires the acquisition of 0.20 acres in fee acquisition and 0.04 acres as a temporary construction easement that is needed for roadway improvement associated with the Golden State Boulevard realignment and for the high-speed rail track bed between Northwest Avenue and West Olive Avenue in the city of Fresno. The Peters property requires the acquisition of 0.33 acres in fee, and it's necessary for the improvement of the Belmont overcrossing near the northeast corner of Belmont Avenue and North Harrison Avenue in the city of Fresno. And finally, the Pacific Orchards property requires the acquisition of 18.49 acres in fee, of which 16.10 acres are required for the project, and the remaining 2.39 acres are uneconomic remnants. And I believe your resolution of necessity references the appropriate code section for the uneconomic remnants. And this property is specifically required for the Avenue 7 grade separation and the high-speed rail alignment between Avenue 7 and the north-south portion of Road 33. In addition, the resolutions provide that offers of just compensation that are required by Government Code 7267.2 have been made to all of the owners of record. Therefore, it's requested that this board adopt the resolutions of necessity. The adoption will not interrupt or interfere with continued negotiations with all of the property owners, and the adoption will assist the authority in meeting the construction schedule for this project.
Thank you. Ms. Chima, can you remind us what the law requires in terms of notice before this action comes to the public?
Certainly. The notice is actually a written notice of intent and to adopt the resolution of necessity. The law provides that notice needs to be mailed out at least 15 days before. However, we always try to do at least 30, if not 45 days before. And it's my understanding that in this case, the notices of intent were all mailed on July 28, 2014.
Are there any representatives from the property owners for the property being considered in this action item. Any other public comment on this action item? Okay. With that, I will move adoption of the resolutions.
I will second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Resolution adopted. Roger, do you have some reportables?
That's correct. There's 3 reportables this month which will be posted on our website after the meeting. They're all an increase with an appropriation. One was for state hospitals, one was for community colleges, and the last was for the Department of Education.